Hi, this is Adrian from La Rebelión. Okay, so in my previous videos, I show you how to create, how to install Kubernetes cluster with a master node, and then how to extend that cluster with additional worker nodes. In the video, I show you how to do that command by command. So now I have created a script for worker nodes and a script for master node, and the idea in this video is to show you how, assuming that you just download the packages and then upload those packages into the air gap environment with these scripts, then everything is going to be automatically installed. And at the end of the execution of the scripts, you will need to tweak a little the etc host and a couple of files, but at the end you will have this cluster with the master node and worker node all integrated. So let's check how that works.
Hey kid, don't ever let them get inside your head. They'll tell you what to do in life instead of everything you know that you could get. Don't let them guide.
Okay, then to launch our master node and or worker node, I'm going to show you, even when I show you that in previous videos, I'm going to start from zero, from scratch. In case you have not seen those videos, then I won't assume anything, but I will start with the steps as you never seen those videos. Okay, so first of all, I have two tabs here, one for my master node and then eventually another one for the worker node. What I need to do, if you remember, I'm using multipass, and multipass is allowing me to create VM instances with Ubuntu. We can use several versions of Ubuntu. In this case, I'm going to use Ubuntu 22 Jamie version. So multipass, fine. I will show you what are the versions that you have available already with the multipass. So I'm going to work with the 22.04 version, and for that I'm going to execute this command here. Multipass launch the name of the instance that I want to create, CPUs, memory. I'm going to use 3 gigas because in the previous videos, when I started the master node, 2 gigas, everything is run in my local PC. 2 gigas were not enough, and there was a warning in the master node installation, but to avoid that, let's go with 3. And I'm going to allocate 6 gigas of disk for this instance, and I need to specify what is the version of the Ubuntu that I want to create for this VM. So let's go for that. It will take some seconds while the VM is created and everything is provisioned. Okay, we have the master up and running. If I multipass list, you see that I have one VM up and running, master, and if I list with more details, multipass info all, there is only one master, what is the IP and the information of the version, that kind of things. One thing that I need to do for this simulation, because this is a brand new VM, there is nothing installed but what Ubuntu is already out of the box, has already out of the box. So what I will do is to install a specific package, which is SSHFS. With that package, I'm going to simulate that I'm just SFTP or SZP, the packages that we downloaded in previous videos. So with this package, it will allow me to copy some files from my host to the VM. So let's go and connect to the master node. Let me clear here, then multipass shell. With shell, I'm going to connect. I need to specify master Kubernetes, the name of the VM. And then with that, I'm just inside the VM. So let's execute the packages. Let's install those packages. I'm not installing anything for Docker or Kubernetes. This is a basic package that I will need. As I said, SSHFS is specific for this communication between the host and the virtual machine to transfer files or just to replicate the host directories inside. In that way, we can just accelerate the copy of the simulation of copying those files. That's it. Okay, that's it. So now I'm going to list the directories here. There is nothing but the default directories. I will switch back to the host, the Windows host, and I will mount the directories where, let me show you, where I just downloaded the packages. I said that I wouldn't assume anything, but in this case, I'm just assuming that all the packages are already there in my local host, in my local PC. There. Okay, so I am in the directory where I had the Docker, Flannel, Kubernetes packages, and Kube and Nginx Docker images that are going to be deployed for this cluster installation. Let me show you Docker C, for example, and you will see here I have all the Debian packages that are needed. So what I will do now is to mount this directory into the virtual machine that I just create, and then automatically I will see those files inside the VM. So let me mount. I have that here from previous exercise. Let me change here to, I need to set multipass mount the directory that I want to mount in which VM, in this case master Kubernetes, and where I want to mount that. I'm going to create a Laravellion air gap directory. Okay, let's see if that worked. That's it. Now you see that I have this Laravellion air gap, which was not before. So what else? I need another thing. I'm not going to execute this step by step, but the idea is to execute the script shell, right? It's what I told you in the beginning of the session in the video. So let me clear here, and what I have the master. I need to copy. What I'm going to do is to transfer this master script shell into the VM, and I need to transfer that with a specific command in multipass, because if I try to modify this file inside, let me just try to do that. cd Laravellion air gap, and let's say change mode 766 to master, and then you see there is no change in that file. So what I'm going to do is to switch back to the Windows environment in the host, and I will transfer, copy path. I'm going to transfer the script shell with that specific command in multipass, and that will allow me in the VM to modify the mode in that file. So let me multipass transfer transfer the file name. Where I want to transfer that, I will transfer that into master Kubernetes and then home, and I will call that master Kubernetes sh. What did I do wrong? Multipass transfer. Let's see what I'm doing incorrect. So we have multipass transfer, source, destination. Destination needs to have the name, colon. Yeah, that is okay. So let me do in this way. Let me see. Home, let me copy this, home Ubuntu, instead of just the tilde, which I think it should work, but let's see. Master Kubernetes sh, and that's it. That's it. So I just changed the tilde and use the full qualified path. So let's go to the master node and let me go to the directory in the home, and I have that here, master Kubernetes sh, and I will change the mode in this file to 766 master. Now you see this file was changed to executable. So let me clear here, and then in the script, let me show you what is going to do this script. In the previous video, I execute all these commands one by one. You can just check that video and you will see that are exact same commands. So what I'm doing is installing the package. Let me increase the font here. So I'm changing to the directory where the Docker packages are. I'm installing all the packages there, then enabling the services, and once that is done, I'm just changing to another directory where I have the kube packages. Those packages are installed. I'm just configuring and enabling some services and executing some configuration just to list what are the images. You can just check that in the let's say in the logs, what are the images that you will need to deploy. Of course, those images are already downloaded here in Kubernetes images. Then I just looped into the directory to read all the tar files and load that into the Docker, local Docker. Then I load the Flannel, which is the network that I'm going to use for this cluster, Nginx for ingress. Then just setting some configuration that you can just find directly in the Kubernetes documentation. Then I am just configuring some files for the Kubernetes cluster, and I'm adding in the etc host the IP of this VM. Then checking the version, and finally initializing the master. And that's it. So let's go for that, and I will execute master Kubernetes with no parameter. So far this description is there is no validation, that kind of things. Eventually I guess I can just work on that to improve a little this script. Okay, so installing Docker. The packages are in progress. This is the command that is executing. After this, the system services are going to be enabled. That's it. Then the version of the Docker was installed. After that, installing Kubernetes. This is the one. The packages in Kubernetes. So it is installing the packages. And then the images that are required for this specific version 1.24.3, and then the loading the Kubernetes images, which are in this directory, Kubernetes images. All the tar files are loaded into the new Docker that was installed previously in these steps. After loading all the images, now we are installing the deploying the Flannel pods, ingress, then I check the configuration of these files that are required for Kubernetes. I check the version, where is that? Check the version of the Kubernetes install. This is the command kubectl version with the output YAML. This is the one, 1.24. And now after that, the initialization of the cluster and the output of this init, because we will need the certificate and token to connect the additional worker nodes into the cluster. So I'm saving that information into this file. You will use that for the worker node. After that, I am executing the deployment of the Flannel and the ingress. This is the one. So that's completed. I can just kubectl get nodes. That's it. We have a master node up and running. Yes, okay. So let me check IP node, I think is the name. No. Let me check cat etc host. So this is the IP of the master node. We are going to use that in the worker, but let's go to the worker now. Okay, let me clear here, and I'm going to do similar step that I did for the VM that we create for the master. Let me just show you again. Multipass list. There is nothing but the master, and you see that I have an additional IP, which is the IP that is used for the Kubernetes cluster. Now, what I'm going to do is to, again, create the instance of the VM for the worker node, which is this one. I'm going to create an additional VM, in this case the worker, with the same version, Jamie. Just pay attention. I just had an error in the videos because I tried to in other videos because I tried to create I created the VM, but I didn't specify what was the version that I wanted. By default, it creates the version 20. Then the packages, the Debian packages that I have locally are specific for the Jamie. So there was one step in the execution that failed because these differences in the version. So let's create the worker with Jamie, and same to CPUs, 3 gigas of memory. And let's wait. That's it. Multipass list. 2 VMs, master, worker, multipass info all. Check this difference. The master already has this mounted directory from my host to the virtual VM, and there is no mount directory here in the worker node. So let's go to connect to the worker node to install the packages for enabling the SSHFS file system. And for that, multipass shell worker one Kubernetes. I'm going to clear here. Okay, so this is the worker. There is nothing installed here yet. And let's go with basic packages that I need. And the last one is the specific one for transferring or copying the files, mounting the directories. Okay, SSH mounted, installed. Let's switch to the Windows environment. I had these two tabs because I wanted, at the end I'm going to show you both VMs in parallel. Let me then mount the directory where I am, and in this case I'm going to use worker1 Kubernetes, and I'm going to use the home Ubuntu, oh sorry, Ubuntu, and in the Ubuntu, that's it. So let's go for that. So let's go to review that worker, how it is now. This is the worker. Let me clear here, LL. Not, I have the Laravel air gap directory here. And again, I need to copy inside the, I need to transfer the file for executing that installation here. So let me copy the path for this file. Transfer, in this case is going to be worker Kubernetes, and I'm going to name this as worker. Okay, let's go back to the worker node, and then it was properly transferred or not. Let me go back. Transfer. I transferred that into the master, my mistake. So let me just fix that here as well, and that will worker1, that's it. Let me go now here, and I have that worker here. So change mode 766 worker, that's here. Let me clear here and let execute worker. One thing before, I need to specify the master node IP, and that is an IP from the exercise that I executed before. So let me go back here, and the master node IP is this 136, which is different. So let me vi worker, and I'm going to delete this IP and use this one, and I think that is everything that we need here. Yes, so worker, let's go for it. Again, installing Docker packages are exact same packages that we have for the master. Enabling services after the packages are installed. Then installing Kubernetes. Let's see the version of the Docker that was installed, the installation of the Kubernetes. After the installation of the Kubernetes, the images for the Kubernetes are going to be deployed. So images that are required are the one listed here. Those are already in the file system. Then let's load that with the docker load command. Eventually Kubernetes images, Flannel images, Ingress Nginx images. Once that is completed, configuring the Kubernetes service. So where we are in the Ingress, loading the Ingress images. That's it. Configuring for Kubernetes the version that was installed 1.24. After that, then we are joining. That is something that was missed. Sorry for that. I guess it may fail. Yeah, it could fail because I'm not using the correct token and certificate that we have from the master. But let's get that information and then configure that properly. In the meantime, I'm going to check that information from the master. If you see, I have this qdadmin init log. Let me take this command from here. I'm going to use that here, and I'm going to change sudo join the master IP. I'm going to change that to update that here, the token, the certificate, and I'm going to copy this as well here. Then I'm going to remove this. I didn't pay attention in this to do, so this is something that I need to add here as well as a parameter. Let's do that. Token Kubernetes cert Kubernetes when you execute this in your own environment, you need to replace these values, of course. Token certificate that's it. Let me stop this. And then what I'm going to do is cube ATM reset. Yes. Sudo reset. I need to copy this parameter as well. Remember that I am using Docker, and from this version, I don't remember if that was 1.22 or 20, where this CRI was removed from Kubernetes, and then you need to pass specifically what is the socket CRI that you are going to use, in this case Docker. Yes. Okay, let me see this directory. Do I have that? Yes. Okay, there is no config. I'm going to clear here, and I'm going to execute again the command that I have here in my master. the worker node, and I'm going to add this parameter as well. Join master node token, and I think that's it. Yeah, sudo. Okay. Let's see. Let's check. kubectl get nodes. Okay, I think what we need to do is, yeah, we need the config file in our worker node, but in this case we can just jump here. Let me clear screen. kubectl get nodes. Oh my gosh, you see, we have the master and the worker. Even though I cannot execute the commands in the worker node because I don't have the kube config file, of course we can just copy the file from the master, and then we can just execute the kubectl commands in the worker node as well. It's not required. If you need to execute the kubectl from your local, from the Windows environment, you can just do that as well, copying the kube config file from your local and then connect to the cluster, and everything is going to be transparent in that sense. So we have both nodes, one created 18 minutes ago and the other one just added 41 seconds. Yes. Okay, so what else? I think we are all done. So I wanted to show you here, let me show you again, multipass info all, and I have the master running Ubuntu 22, the directory that we mounted, the IPs of these VMs, and both are mounted. The disk used by the worker node and the master, and that's it. Info. This is the list of the VMs, of course, is shorter. So I think we are all done. That's it. Thank you for watching the video. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel because I'm going to create additional files and additional hands-on labs, and please subscribe to the channel. If you had specific requirements and ask for creating a specific Linux flavor, let's say if you need it for CentOS, if you need it for Red Hat, for Fedora, just let me know and I will create the lab exercise for that environment. I just need to see that you are interested in those, so please comment and subscribe to the channel. Thank you.
Hey kid, don't ever let them get inside your head. They'll tell you what to do in life instead of everything you know that you could get. Don't let them guide your life towards regret. I'll fight for what I love with every breath. My past is filled with things I won't forget. I use them all to push me to my best. So treat the worst of times just like a test. If only I could go back in time, I'd tell myself that everything will end up alright. Just push yourself, test yourself, figure out